Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name's Arcus and today we'll be drawing Pokemon Let's Go fan art. For those of you who don't know, Pokemon Let's Go is the new Pokemon game. It's coming out for the Switch today and I am unfortunately not getting it and I probably won't be in the future either. But I am a big fan of Pokemon and I do really like Eevee, so I thought I should draw some fan art for it, especially since it comes out today. And so as you see, I used digital art for this time around. My drawing program is Tool Sai. I've had it for multiple years and I quite enjoy using it. It's great for drawing, not so much for like editing photos and stuff, but since I am usually drawing, it works fine for what I need. As you can see here, I started with a sketch layer and where I just kind of form the composition of the piece, and then I make another layer on top of it where I do the details, and then I make a last layer on top of that, those two that is the line art layer. Sometimes I'll do more if I need to, but I tend to not want to spend too much time doing these like sketches and whatnot, because I get bored after a while, although maybe I should spend a little more time trying out the composition and whatnot. That's why digital art's great, you know, you can move it around and you don't have to like redraw the entire thing, so I like it. And so here we have drawing the main boy protagonist. I struggled with drawing Pikachu. I didn't know how to draw him, so I had to look up a reference for him. And I found the best reference. I'm really fond of this picture of Pikachu, so here we go. Here we have Pikachu. So yeah, after I sketched out the boy, I went to sketching the girl out, and as you can see, I kind of went for a pretty cartoony style in this drawing. I think I like a more realistic cartoony style overall, but I am a fan of a very simplistic style as well. I like the idea of translating like shapes and a drawing and an idea through very a limited use of lines, but I'm also a fan of like realistic kind of drawing. But regardless, in this case, since it was Pokemon, I thought it would be best to kind of go for a more cartoony style. It just like fits the theme of the game, although honestly Pokemon's a pretty almost violent game, but it looks cute, so we got that going for it. And here you see like I moved to the line art. I'm just using a regular pencil brush from Tool Sai because it's like this cartoony style. Sometimes I'll just use like the brush because it's a little softer look, and it just really depends on what I'm trying to draw that day, like what kind of look I'm trying to go for. But since this is a cartoony drawing, I wanted those like thick lines, and so I went with the pencil. And I am drawing every line, although they look so smooth, not because I have like an amazing hand, that would be really impressive. It's because you have like different levels of stabilizers that you can set your pencils or your brushes to. If you look at the top of the window, there's a bunch of different settings that you can that are at the very top there, and the very last one almost in the middle of Tool Sai is the stabilizer, and I have it set to S1, so it goes from like 1 to like 15 or so, and then it goes into the S's, and so it's extremely high stabilizer, and that's what makes my lines look so crisp and smooth, as if I'm almost like not actually drawing them by hand, although I am. And so that's nice for those of you who have Tool Sai and don't know that exists. It's a really cool tool because depending on what you set your stabilizer to kind of changes how the drawing looks in the end, so it's something fun to kind of play around with. Now, when it comes to the boy in this drawing, I kind of wish I spent a little more time on his hands. They're not my favorite hands, not gonna lie. It just happens though, like if I spend a long time on a drawing, I get kind of bored and I want to rush through things, which is not like ideal, because then you have situations like this where I'm looking at the hands now and I'm kind of like, wow, I really don't like them. And I probably could have worked on them a little harder at the time, and fix them, but I didn't. So now it's just how it is. So if you need some time, if like you're getting bored with the drawing, either work on something else like in the drawing, although I guess it is hard if you're doing the line art and you just need to continue doing more line art, or just go and do something else, because it's better to not regret it in the end. And then if you're not happy with certain things in the drawing, you can also change them whenever you can, whenever you want, especially in digital art. It's like not a problem. If you have them on layers, just fix the layer. Like with the girl, I didn't like her left arm. It was up in the air. I wasn't too fond of it. So I changed it to going down, and I think it really helped with the flow of her and her in the piece. So it was a good decision, and it was something easy to change because it was digital art. It's like one of the reasons why digital art's pretty awesome. And so now I move on to coloring, and the way I color, I'm a very organized person, so I make layers for absolutely everything, and then I name every single one of those layers. So in this case, like every color has its own layer. I'm also kind of a messy colorer when it comes to digital art. I don't like coloring within the lines. For some reason, I find it easier to use a bigger brush to color large areas and then go back and erase it, although honestly I think it's more work than if you just use a smaller brush and carefully colored in the lines the first time around. I don't know, that's just something I do. Here I changed the background to a darker color that kind of complements the colors in the piece so that it doesn't like screw up the colors, even though in this case I was just color picking from the reference image. This is so that when I'm coloring in like the white, for example, I see where I'm coloring and I know if it's done or not. And so yeah, just finishing everything up on the boy. I put all of these colors on different layers, but then I put them all in one folder, which was underneath the layer of the line art. And the reason I did this is later on when I'm shading this piece, I just kind of put a layer on top of the folder with all the other colors, and then I use this like pinkish purple color that you'll see later on to kind of just shade everything. So I did digital art a lot when I was younger, and then I kind of stopped drawing completely. And when I did start drawing again more recently, like 2 or 3 years ago, I switched kind of to more traditional art. It was just easier, you know, if I wanted to draw while I was at school or on the go or something, it was just easier to have pencil and paper instead of like digital art, because although I had a tablet, I didn't have like a laptop or anything, so I only could be doing it at my computer, and it just didn't work out. So I've only recently started doing digital art again, and I don't know how I want to shade yet or what I want to do with my digital art. So I kind of experiment with stuff, and this was kind of an experiment, this piece here, and I don't know if I liked the ending result when it came to the shading. Like, it looks nice, but I don't know if I'll do it again, because with the pinkish purple color that I mentioned earlier, the shadows make it look like it should be at sunset or something. I don't know, it looks kind of like they are in a dark place, and that's good for when you're drawing that, when you are at a sunset or something. But when it's just like these kids like jumping in the air, they're not really in a scene or anything, they're just kind of there, it's not kind of a look that I wanted. So it probably would have been better for me to do cell shading, where I chose a darker color for each color that is on the drawing, and that's why I also did all the layers, so that I could do that, but then I changed to my mind at the last moment to do it this way. And so like it doesn't look bad, it's very simple. I use just the regular pencil for the hard shadows, and then I switch to the brush and the watercolor for the softer shadows, depending on how soft I want them to be. And it looks fine. It's a very simple style of shading, but in the future, I don't know if I'm gonna stick with that. Another thing that I do to kind of make the shadows pop a little more is that I use my watercolor brush, and if you look underneath the color wheel to the place where like it shows you what color you currently have picked, like that square, underneath that square there is a smaller square, not the white one, the one that's like smaller, that's like white and gray. It has like checkers in it. If you click that square on Paint Tool Sai, then it makes the whatever brush you have currently selected kind of act like an eraser. And you can see me doing it here with like the highlights on her legs and arms and whatnot. I use the watercolor brush as an eraser basically, and it just adds a little more finish kind of to the piece, because it adds some highlights in places that like are just shadows, and it just makes it look better, because that's actually something that happens in real life. Like, it's not just pure shadow, you'll have backlighting from something else, and it just adds a little something to it. So here I'm just finishing up the eyes. Eyes are important, so I make them their own layers. And then adjusting the shadow colors, because I wasn't very happy with it, although I didn't adjust them all that much. And then finally just making a quick simple background, which is a color that works well with them, and then just kind of made some squares and made them pop off. And here's the final piece. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and this drawing, and if you like this video, make sure to hit the like button, and if you want to see more just like it, hit subscribe. I am posting on the 1st and 3rd Friday of every month, so twice a month, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!